To create a revolve surface, which pretty much works the same way like a wood lathe, we need to define a profile and a revolve axis. The axis is the center line around which one the profile is being rotated. So we need to create a curve first. So for example, I snap to this grid, turn grid off, and maybe create this shape. Now to create the revolve surface, I'm going to into 3D view, Control Shift right mouse button, turn shade on, click the revolve, double click it to open it. And for example, I have X, Y, and Z, local and global. I have the amount of degrees, which direction, freeform type. Let's ignore this one and keep it at freeform. Periodic, that is the one you want to work with most of the time. When, for example, using surface fillets, otherwise you can keep it this way. And auto update you want to have turned on, create history, so it always creates the design history. And when we have more profiles which are connected, we can use chain select. Chain means it selects all curves that are connected and creates one revolve surface at once. Now let's click on this profile. And you see the direction of the revolve is wrong. And that is because currently the axis is X. We click Y, it's this axis. And we click Z, it's using the Z axis. So you see Z, Y, and X. I can actually by hand also adjust the axis. So you see I can click on the line and drag it. I can also click on an endpoint and change the rotation of the axis. So it's not strictly global, maybe more something like local. I can even snap actually the axis points to the grid. And currently this is set to Z. If I move those points so they're horizontally, the software switches to X. Now you see that with local, the pivot point of my curve is being used. If I click global, my world center Z-axis is being used. Now that means with global selected, if I move my curve, you see always along the Z-axis, my object is being created. And if I move my profile really far away, you see that adjusts the size or diameter of the revolve object. This is good when you want to make a single object, let's say like a bottle, but this is not ideal when, for example, you would like to have multiple objects inside the same document and be more freely able to move the objects around. So what we do in this case is actually we simply reset the pivot point. Maybe like this. So you see, this is now my center for the local. So if I go revolve, double click and say local, you see it actually used the pivot point to start projecting the Z-axis up. Next, and good. Now, if in this case, I'm going to select my curve and move it, you will see my revolve surface moves with it. There's also the ability to create a vector, which I will introduce at a later point.